Good morning, sunshine. Welcome back to Tiger's Cult. I'm your friendly internet paranormal researcher and investigator, Dr. Morris, and today's entity comes to us from the region around the Caucasus, Iran, Central Asia, Armenia. It's called the Owl. Trust me, this thing makes Al Bundy look like a well-adjusted sweetheart of a human being. Again, referring to our three main reference texts, Illy's Encyclopedia of Spirits, Bain's Encyclopedia of Spirits and Ghosts and World Mythology, and Guiley's Encyclopedia of Ghosts and Spirits, and a smattering of further research, I'm going to tell you where it comes from, how to identify it, what it does, we'll address any ethical concerns, then we'll make sure we go over safe interaction with the entity if you should ever come across it during your travels. Now, let's get into the origins. According to Al Reconsidered, an essay by Garnick Asatarian, the exact origin of the name Al has not been clearly identified. One theory suggests that it's connected to Uhura Mazda, one of the Uhuras we previously covered here. No, not the Enterprise Communications Officer. Knock that off. Yeah, that one. Thanks. Click that link in the upper corner if you need a refresher. Anyway, I'm not convinced that the Uhuras and the Owl are connected, although they came from geographically similar areas. Their behaviors and focuses are entirely different. In the Pamir region between Central and South Asia, there's a little-known entity called the Almasti that we'll likely cover later. And then there's the Albasti from the Slavic area, but to be honest, most of these seem to be a bit of a reach. M.L. Benevisti categorically rejects the Al-Almasti relation, postulating instead that Al is a genuine Iranian term derived from Oler, while Albasti is that's a Turkic term. Either way, that's a whole lot of gum flapping to say, well, we really don't know where it came from. The first documentation in European literature specifically comes from an English traveler in Central Asia. G.T. Vigny wrote a personal narrative of a visit to Ghuzni, Kabul, and Afghanistan, and on page 211 gives us a quick description as he dives into the existence of jinns and genii. That being said, we'll move right into the physical identification methods. G.T. Vigny says, the owls form another race of preternatural beings. They are said to resemble women of about 20 years of age, but with long teeth and nails, and with eyes that are curved down the side of their noses and heels placed where their toes ought to be. They are, I suppose, the ghouls of Persian and Turkish tales, as they meet in graveyards and feed on the dead bodies of men and horses. Asatarian indicates that in Iran, the owl are bony, thin old women with a clay nose, a red face, and a straw basket dangling from its shoulder. In Central Asia, the owl is fat, ugly, hairy, and an old crone with sagging breasts that keeps a woolen bag over one shoulder. If you'll notice, most of these descriptions refer to a bag or a basket hanging from one shoulder. The owl are known for stealing organs from pregnant mothers, specifically the lung, heart, and liver, and they use this container to place their stolen organs. Overall, going by the folklore, I'm not convinced these things were ever human. Virtually every book and paper that I've come across refers to it as a demon, leading me to assign it to Class 5. Owls always focus on one thing: theft. Whether that's organs or entire children, it's always come to steal stuff. It's unknown if each owl is the same entity or a new iteration, but it does seem to appear and disappear when its mission is complete, so I'm going to identify it as a repeater. Therefore, we're going to call it a Class 5 Focused Pilfering Repeater. Folklore Tales and Legends. In Dr. Manuk Albagan's 1899 doctoral dissertation, Der Armensche Volksglaube, or Armenian Folk Beliefs, he recorded a number of confessions supposedly from an owl. The first states, I make the children of women wither, I dry up the milk, I darken the eyes, I suck their brains out and make them dumb, and take babies from the womb prematurely. I eat the flesh of babies and drink their blood, and I darken the light of their eyes. Another quotation reads, I sit down on the childbearing woman and make her ears burn. I pull out the liver and strangle the mother and the child. Our food is the flesh of the woman giving birth and the child. We steal fetuses of 7 months from the mother and take them, deaf and dumb, to our king in the abyss. Well, real pleasant sort, these owls. What this really boils down to is that they like stealing lungs, livers, and hearts of women in childbirth, new new mothers, or pregnant women. After they steal the organs and place them in their basket or bag, they'll run for the nearest source of water, a river, something like that. When they get to the river, they'll wash the liver and eat it. Once that happens, the mother is doomed and there's no saving her. They also like to destroy embryos, deliberately causing miscarriages. Furthermore, for up to 40 days after childbirth, owls might also steal the newborn baby and replace it with an imp. There is a Kurdish curse that I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce in its original language, but it roughly translates to, "May the owl eat your innards." An Armenian curse translates to, "May the owl take you away." There's similar curses in all the cultures that know of the owl. That brings us to our ethical considerations. Well, seeing as how owls deliberately and specifically target pregnant mothers and newborns, I'd say there's absolutely no ethical issues in actively hunting these things. That's not a stance here we at Tigers Occult Books and Research usually take, but in this case, we'll make an exception. Fire at will. Safe interaction methods. Look, there are none. There's literally no safe way to interact with these beings. Look, if you don't have a shotgun and some method to hand-load specialized cartridges like iron, I don't know what to tell you. Look, here we have a Lee loader from 1963 that simplifies the loading process. It even comes with a really nice charge table for my 10 gauge. I like the 10 gauge because volumetrically, it'll hold up to 18 pellets of double-aught buckshot over the 12 gauge's 9 pellets, but the 12 gauge is a fine choice too for people who aren't as recoil enthusiastic as me. The issue you have to solve for here is your weight instead of volume. Lead is more dense than iron, so you'll need to calculate just how much weight you're pushing when you're working up your powder charge. And again, if you're using iron, use those nifty little pre-slit shot cups, and more importantly, RTFM. Read the freaking manual. Anyway, Asatarian says iron objects help. Swords, scissors, seems to be anything iron that you can cause damage with. As you know, I like shotguns. Tiger and I really like my 10 gauge. Every American likes shotguns. Apotropaic means of defense against owls include a lot of methods similar to demonic exorcism, charms, amulets, prayers, incense burning, and the like. If there's a possibility that an owl is in the area, it may be wise to head to the nearest brook or river and stir it with sticks or swords to cut off its infiltration routes. Similarly, if the owl has already stolen the organs, it's possible to head it off and prevent it from reaching water by yelling, firing weapons, generally making a ruckus. Lastly, and I hesitate to mention this, in Armenian folklore, they seem to think you can capture an owl by pricking it with a needle in order to bring it home with you and force it to work. Based on its behavior patterns, I cannot stress enough how terrible of an idea this is. It's about on par with deliberately hiring a serial killer to mow your lawn. Don't do this, fellas. It's a truly terrible idea. Anyway, that's about all the information I was able to dig up on the owls. I hope you found it informative. As always, like, comment, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. You can find me on YouTube, Rumble, BitChute, and Odyssey. If you want or need a specific entity covered, let me know in the comments section down below. Till next time, fellas, I'll see you down here at the lab.